In the murky waters of Burundi's Rusizi River and Lake Tanganyika, a shadow as old as time itself lurks just beneath the surface. His name is Gustav, and he is no ordinary crocodile. Measuring an estimated 19 feet long and weighing around 1.2 tons, Gustav is a monster in every sense of the word. But what makes him truly legendary is not just his size, it's the trail of destruction he left behind. With over 300 alleged human victims, Gustav is considered one of the deadliest crocodiles in recorded history. Gustav was first reported to be stalking the waters of the Rusizi River in the late 1980s. The villagers living along the riverbanks told stories of a massive crocodile whose appetite seemed insatiable. Most Nile crocodiles are opportunistic hunters, attacking smaller prey, but Gustav defied these norms. He was said to pull full-grown buffaloes into the water and drag them down with terrifying ease. Even more shocking, Gustav was witnessed killing hippos, one of the most aggressive animals in Africa. It was behavior no one had ever seen before, and it cemented his reputation as a predator like no other. Locals believed Gustav didn't kill purely for food. Unlike typical crocodiles, who kill and eat their prey immediately, Gustav was rumored to slaughter indiscriminately, leaving carcasses in his wake without feeding on them. His body was riddled with scars, including bullet wounds from failed attempts to stop him. His massive size and apparent immunity to human attacks added a near-mythical layer to his persona. People whispered that Gustav was not just a crocodile but a demon sent to punish those who lived near the water. For biologists, Gustav was a puzzle. His size was enormous even for a Nile crocodile, which can typically grow to 16 feet. But Gustav was an estimated 19 feet long, and his 1.2-ton bulk made him one of the largest crocodiles in the world. His sheer size and strength allowed him to attack animals much larger than his typical prey. The hippo, known for being highly aggressive and difficult for most predators to kill, seemed no match for Gustav. Locals often described seeing Gustav emerge from the water like a force of nature, his jaws snapping down on large buffaloes, pulling them into the depths of the Rusizi. It wasn't just his ability to hunt that was terrifying, but the apparent intelligence and patience he exhibited. He would wait in ambush for hours, lurking in the reeds, his eyes just above the surface. By the time his victims realized he was there, it was too late. Gustav's reign of terror reached a fever pitch in the 1990s, when stories of his human victims spread like wildfire. Whole families were wiped out, and the villagers were left helpless against a creature that seemed to have no fear of humans. Fishermen refused to take their boats into the river, and people avoided the water at all costs, knowing that one wrong step could make them Gustav's next meal. What was horrible was that the entire villages depended on the waters of the river and the lake for their livelihood and for their household needs for water. The very fact that they could not venture into the waters anymore made their life completely miserable. Somebody had to do something about Gustav. Otherwise, there would be mass human immigration from the affected villages. The whole area descended into a terror like never seen before. No other animal had this fierce reputation and imposed this sort of terror on humanity in history as Gustav had done. Would someone be able to capture or eliminate Gustav? In 2004, French biologist Patrice Fay decided to take matters into his own hands. Fay, intrigued and horrified by the reports of this monstrous crocodile, led an expedition to capture Gustav alive. His goal was to study the giant crocodile and relocate him to protect the local population. Fay and his team set up massive steel traps along the riverbanks, used live bait, and even installed motion sensor cameras to track Gustav's movements. But Gustav proved to be an elusive target. He approached the traps but never took the bait, as if he knew the team was hunting him. His intelligence and instincts allowed him to evade capture time and time again. Frustrated but impressed, Fay admitted defeat. Despite their best efforts, Gustav remained free, continuing his reign of terror. The world's fascination with Gustav grew, and his story eventually caught the attention of filmmakers. In 2007, a movie inspired by Gustav's legend was released, titled Primeval. The film tells the story of a team of journalists and hunters who travel to Africa to capture a giant man-eating crocodile terrorizing the region, based loosely on Gustav's exploits. While the film takes creative liberties, painting Gustav as more of a supernatural force, it captures the fear and helplessness that people felt when facing a creature they couldn't control or predict. This movie created as much fear and invoked public curiosity as the movies based on imaginary white sharks named Jaws had done. However, Gustav was no imagination, though the depiction of Gustav was over-exaggerated in the movie. However, we know movies are never realistic. Still, for a real crocodile to be over 1.2 tons in weight and to measure around or above 19 to 21 feet is not a small thing by any means of the imagination. Though Primeval is a work of fiction, the true story of Gustav remains more chilling than any Hollywood script. The film brought his legend to an international audience, cementing Gustav's place in pop culture as one of the most dangerous animals ever known. There are rumors of a sequel to Primeval coming up. However, this news has not been authenticated. In recent years, sightings of Gustav have become scarce, leading to speculation that the giant crocodile may have finally met his end. Some believe that Gustav died of old age or succumbed to his numerous injuries, while others claim he simply moved to more remote areas of the river, continuing his deadly rampage out of human sight. There has also been stories that a massive male hippopotamus killed him in a hellacious fight. There are also stories of Gustav being gored to death by a herd of buffaloes when he had pulled in one of them from the herd. However, these are just stories and nobody has been able to prove these tales. The very fact that Nile crocodiles can live for a very long time is enough to keep people speculating about the fate of Gustav, since Gustav is really huge and if he had died, someone or somebody should have noticed his carcass. However, there has been no sightings at all of Gustav, dead or alive, and crocodiles are infamous for staying out of public view for very long times. So Gustav might appear again. Only time can tell that. Yet without a body, there is no proof that Gustav is gone. For the people of Burundi, the fear of Gustav still lingers. Even in his absence, parents warn their children to stay away from the river, and fishermen scan the water nervously, never truly believing that they're safe. The legacy of Gustav. Gustav is more than just a crocodile. He is a symbol of nature's raw power, of the darkness that still lurks in the wild places of the world. He represents the fine line between predator and prey, where humans, with all their technology and weapons, are not always at the top of the food chain. Whether Gustav is alive or dead, his story has left a permanent scar on the psyche of those who lived in his territory. He is a reminder that in the battle between man and nature, nature often has the upper hand. For those who remember the terror of living in Gustav's shadow, the legend of the giant Nile crocodile will never die.